Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope y'all are doing well today. I wanted to get on here and just really encourage someone just about a few things. I love to go to the story of Joseph so much. Joseph, who was the youngest of several brothers, who ended up, out of jealousy, throwing him in a pit and ultimately selling him. He was sold. Okay, and he ended up, after some time of being a slave and just working hard labor, things of that nature, and then eventually working in the house of Pharaoh, working with Potiphar, he ended up going to jail again based on false allegations, and then finally being placed second in command from the Pharaoh. It's a very intriguing story, but it's one worth the read or to read again, especially when you're in places where you feel like you've been let down and exiled. And one of the things that I do want to talk with you guys about that I believe is very important is understanding that sometimes it's going to be twofold. One is going to be for the people who is experiencing this, and maybe some of you don't know what is going on with someone, but you're making assumptions. And I want you to understand that sometimes there are people who experience things in their lives that you just don't know about. You don't know about it, but something has happened and you have been told something. You've been fed a narrative and you don't know the whole story. And every one of us have been guilty of things of that nature. Someone told you something and you just believed it. You just assumed something, okay? And sometimes based on who the individuals are, you just assume they're telling you the truth. Sometimes it could even be a parent just telling you something about your other parent. You've been estranged from your mom or your dad, estranged from this person just because someone who you should trust told you some horrible things about your estranged parent, and of course you believe it, right? Because you don't expect that your mother will lie to you or your father will lie to you about that parent or your grandparents and so on and so forth. But I want you to know that sometimes people who are on their own or no longer in the fold, there's something that has happened to them that you don't know. And I'm going to give an example of Joseph's father. Joseph's father was told by Joseph's brother. So after Joseph's brother threw him in a pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites, I believe, if I'm correct. Forgive me if I'm wrong. What they did, they made up this whole story. They took his coat of many colors, they killed an animal and sprinkled the blood all over it, and all corroborated a story to tell his father. And all these years, the father believed that Joseph was mauled and killed by some animal. Okay? And he believed that. And that's what happens sometimes. People don't know the story other than what been told to them about you or what someone told you about someone else. And so you live all these years believing this is true. Sometimes also when God pulls you away, sometimes for the sake of maybe what you know, maybe there are things, let's say God pull you away from some people, and there's some things you know, some things that you have experienced, but he does not allow you to tell other people about it. He just pulls you aside. And all these years, people just think, oh, you're this horrible person, or they're just being told the story by these individuals as far as who you are, what you have allegedly have done, and why you're not around. And it can be hard, it may be tempting, and you want to tell your story so badly, but God tells you to be still. Because he's going to make everything clear. He's going to reveal the truth in due time. So that's what happened with Joseph. Joseph's story there was a story told, a narrative about him that wasn't true. But God kept Joseph where he was for quite some time. Because now once he became second in command from the Pharaoh, wouldn't it have been possible for Joseph to gather a group of like a chariot or some individuals, and just go back to his father's home, go back to where he came from, pull up in all his splendor, and go in and tell his father and his family what happened? But God did not allow that. Understand that at some point, remember, Joseph, at the time that he got to talk to Pharaoh, and he interpreted Pharaoh's dream, Joseph helped to plan for the 7 years of famine that was going to come at some point. It was not there yet. And at that point, the Pharaoh had put his ring on Joseph's finger. Joseph didn't lose his memory. Joseph was maybe 16 years old when he was thrown away from his family. His brothers did that to him. At this point, Joseph, having been in favor with the Pharaoh, at some point getting married to the Pharaoh's daughter, could have requested and asked the Pharaoh to allow him to go home, to handle some business, and he'll be back. And I believe the Pharaoh would have allowed him to do that. And the reason why I can say that in confidence is because the Pharaoh allowed all his family to come and live there because he had that much esteem for him. As a matter of fact, I believe when Joseph's father died, the Pharaoh allowed him to take a whole entourage with him to go and mourn his father. So Joseph very well could have said, hey, I've got a bone to pick. I've got something to, let me get some time to go there and talk to my dad and tell my story. But he never did that. Because Joseph was always walking in wisdom. And sometimes what I'm saying is, God is not going to allow you to get into the weeds. Sometimes he keeps you away and where you are while everyone has a story about why you did what you did or who you are as a person. God is preserving you and he's keeping you. Sometimes you don't need to explain. And sometimes God is saying, you don't go back to this place. Don't go back. You stay where I put you and focus on me so I can give you your peace and I can fill those voids. You understand what I'm saying? I hope you're getting this, and I hope this is blessing somebody. Sometimes for the sake of other people, you don't tell everything that's happened. Sometimes you're no longer around. And people are going, what happened? Well, what did I do? And sometimes it's not that even you've done anything, but sometimes for the sake of not creating friction where you know about where the person is and what they have going on, that you are not in a position where now you feel, oh, I'm obligated to say this, especially when it's in a family. If a family member is no longer around, and God pulls them away for whatever reason. But then I'm keeping in touch with this family member and that family member. And then there's these other family members that's thinking like, well, what's going on? A lot of times a family member who is in touch with you is going to feel either pressure to say something, or now they're going to be vilified and considered to be doing what? Taking sides. So sometimes for the peace of the family, you have to sacrifice everything and just stay where God wants you to be. And he will build you new friends and build you a new community. He will give you brothers and sisters and a mother and a father. And it's not that you ever forget your own or you don't love them anymore. But God knows why you need to be where you are. Why? Because sometimes you were there already. You were willing already, but there's something there, whether they still hold grudges against you or they just can't get around that you're just their little brother, little sister, older, or it's just you. You are never going to be in this place to be received and loved and always be abused. So twofold. You may be tempted to tell your story, but if God has pulled you, be still, because the truth is going to come out. A lot of times when you're no longer around, they're going to start doing that very thing that they used to displace and put on you. They're going to do it to someone else. The people that used to be in agreement with them and sitting down and he talking about you, eventually that person is going to show themselves. It's going to come out. Okay? And the second thing is, sometimes the truth will really cause more damage than the vindication you think. You understand what I'm saying? And so what happened with Joseph? Eventually, his father, eventually it is revealed that he is actually who he is. His family comes. If I'm not mistaken, only his mother had passed away. So his father saw him, and his father got the truth. Everyone saw. And notice, nothing is noted in the Bible that tells us the after story, what happened. Because when God is in the midst of it, none of that's going to matter. The truth is just going to be the truth. The truth is going to be the truth. There's not going to be any back and forth about what happened, because truth prevails. Truth, when God brings vindication and justice and truth, is going to answer all questions. And nothing else is going to matter. And the same thing I would say to people. There's some people, yeah, they're terrible. They did some horrible things. They've just cut their families off because they're selfish and they weren't getting their own ways, and they pull themselves away from their close circles and community because maybe those people were telling them the truth about their behaviors. There are people that do that. But on the flip side of it, there are individuals who it has nothing to do with them being a bad child, parent, individual, friend. Something happened, something was done, and you don't know anything about the truth other than what you're being told. People that are guilty and that people that do wrong, they're always going to be talking. They're going to be saying things. They're going to demonize that person. They're going to say all these horrible things because they have to make themselves feel better and cover their tails when they do wrong. People that lie and cheat and abuse people and steal and do wrong to other people, they spend a lot of time demonizing the victims. They will even bring up mistakes that the person did make, knowing good and well that this was not a habit with a person, but because they want to create this narrative, they're going to do that. People that do wrong, people that are not at peace, their sin and their own wrongdoing torments them. Why? Because when they do the wrong, now they have to think of, oh, well, just in case this happened, I'm going to say this. And just in case she comes and tells them that, then I'm going to say that. And just in case he decides to tell them this, then I'm going to bring this up. When all along, you're in God's perfect peace. So I hope this encourages you. I hope this helps somebody to feel some sort of just feel alleviated in your heart. And just know this: no weapon formed against you shall prosper, and truth is always going to prevail. All right, guys. Bye.